So let me tell you about Susan. She works in marketing for an international company. In meetings, her colleagues often share different ideas, and sometimes Susan disagrees. I'm sure you can relate. But she was worried about sounding rude or too direct, especially since English isn't her first language. So one day during a product meeting, her manager suggested a campaign that Susan knew wouldn't work well. She thought certain markets wouldn't accept that. Well, instead of staying silent this time, she used a simple phrase that we practiced together. She said, "That's an interesting approach. May I share a slightly different perspective?" Her manager smiled and listened, and they ended up having a productive discussion. The final plan was even better because of her input. And that's the point. Disagreement isn't conflict. At least it doesn't have to be. It's about collaboration, working together. So, how do you disagree without sounding harsh? It's not about memorizing fancy phrases. It's really simple. It's about having a few simple tools ready to help you stay calm and respectful and clear. You'll be able to express your opinion calmly. So let's break down a few ways that you can disagree without being disagreeable. Okay? So let's start with agreement. Before you share a different opinion, show that you heard and respect the other person's idea. This builds trust and it keeps the conversation cooperative. I remember last year I had a client, we'll call him Tom. He was in a strategy meeting. His manager proposed an idea for an aggressive timeline for a new project. Tom had serious concerns about the team's capacity to be able to handle it, but he didn't want to sound negative. So he started by agreeing. He said, "I see where you're coming from, and it's definitely an exciting plan. You can try that too." Then, after showing the respect, he carefully shared his concerns. What are some other phrases you could use? You could say, "That's a good point," or "I appreciate your input on this." So why does this even work? Well, the simple matter is people want to be heard. They want to feel like they're being heard. So when you acknowledge their idea first, you're signaling that you respect their thinking, even if you see it from a different perspective. This lowers their defensiveness and makes them more open to hearing your point of view instead of feeling attacked. Now they feel included and like they're in a shared problem-solving process. So another thing that you can do is use softening phrases. These are phrases that help you introduce your opinion in a gentle way. One of my coaching clients named Maria was in a budget planning meeting, and the finance director suggested cutting funding for her team's project. Not good, right? Maria disagreed, but she didn't want to sound like she's confrontational. So she said, "I wonder if we might also consider the potential long-term impact of reducing this budget." Her respectful approach opened the door for a deeper discussion. And in the end, her project actually kept most of the funding. It's all about compromise after all. So consider some phrases that you might use. "I wonder." How about another way to look at it might be, or maybe, "May I offer a different perspective?" I wonder if we might consider, just like Maria said. So why does this work? Softening phrases signal that you're not dismissing the other person's idea. Instead, you're inviting them to collaborate, and you're showing an openness to work together. It keeps the other person from getting defensive and encourages them to explore other options with you rather than resist you. People don't like their ideas challenged, so using these kind of phrases often helps. My favorite. In any conversation, I'm always saying, ask questions. Like you can ask questions in the chat right now. So sometimes asking a question helps the group explore other ideas without sounding like you're disagreeing directly. David, a project manager I worked with, he was concerned about an aggressive launch schedule. There we go with that aggressiveness again. So instead of directly opposing the plan, he asked a question. How do you think this might affect our ability to meet quality standards? Oh, so the question forced the conversation to consider the risks and help the team find a more realistic schedule. And it shifted the conversation to consider how to solve the problem, finding solutions together. So what are some phrases you might use? Well, you can try, how do you think this might affect our timeline? You could say that for anything. How do you think this might affect that? Could there be any challenges if we take this approach or that approach? What other options might we want to explore? So 2 of those are open-ended questions. The middle one's a yes or no question, but it still invites people to think about it. Could there be any challenges? So now, why does this even work? Because questions always work. Questions feel like less confrontational than a direct statement. If you came out and said, this is a stupid idea, that's a direct statement and it's confrontational. You're inviting an argument. So this, on the other hand, invites people to think critically and involves them in finding the solutions and turns disagreements into a joint problem-solving activity instead of a debate. Nobody likes debates, right? Well, some people do, but all right. The next thing you can do is stay calm. Stay calm and keep your tone friendly. Remember that it's how you say something matters as much as what you say. So smile, use a calm tone, and show that you're open to discussion. Keep your volume down. You don't want to come across as confrontational right at the beginning. I had a client once, though, named James, and he struggled with this. He really would, he'd get angry and hot under the collar, and we had some interesting discussions in the past. So he, in a very tense meeting after we'd worked together for a little while, he had a disagreement, but he then changed. He kept his tone light, his body language relaxed, and instead of escalating this time, he approached calmly, which helped others to keep the conversation open and keep them open to staying in the discussion. A calm tone sets the emotional temperature of the conversation. Being calm and friendly reduces tension, keeps emotions under control, and allows for honest, productive discussions, even when people have different opinions. Finally, let's end on a positive note. Even if you disagree, you can still show you're part of the team. Emily, a team leader, once had a disagreement over resource allocation. And after sharing her view, she ended by saying, I'm confident we'll find a solution that works for everyone. That small, positive closing kept the conversation collaborative, working together, and her manager told her he appreciated her professionalism. So you can use phrases like, I'm confident we'll find the best solution together. You could say, let's keep exploring or looking for the best path forward. And why does that work? Because positivity reinforces the teamwork. Ending on a positive note helps people work together. And it reassures others that you're still aligned as a team with the group goals, even if you have a different viewpoint. It helps you to build trust, which I'm all about, and helps to keep the relationships secure. So let's do a quick recap. Remember, acknowledge the other person's point. Agreement at the very beginning. Use softening questions. Ask questions. Keep the tone friendly. And end on a positive note. All right? And remember, this is one of those things that you can practice. Disagreeing politely is one of the most powerful professional skills that you can develop. And the best part is, the more you practice, the more natural it feels. All right? Give it time. So, your challenge for today: in the next meeting or conversation, practice using one of today's polite disagreement phrases. And then notice how people respond when you stay calm and respectful and clear. So, if today's episode was helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, share it with a friend who's trying to improve their skills at communications, and check out the full article at allaboutenglishmastery.com or click the link in the description.